Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, the 18th of July, 2024. And if you know my videos, you know that I like to start any of my videos, despite what I'm talking about, with some current events, international events, if there's anything of value to bring to the table. And so before I get into the pineal gland and share a video on that, that is a very interesting video. And I'll probably share another one after that by Santos Bonacci, stuff I've explained before as well. And so I hope it's not redundant, but just regarding the Donald Trump assassination attempt, there are a lot of people that are calling this a false flag, a staged event, so many different things. And when people say that, they're like, well, so what do you mean? Like, people didn't die? And so I'm just going to clarify. I shouldn't have to say this to anyone that's watching my videos because it's hard to even find access to my videos because I've had multiple accounts deleted. I'm very censored. And even when people try to do a specific search for my videos, it doesn't come up, right? And so a VPN is necessary. I've spoken a lot at length about a lot of the inconsistencies, and just because someone says that something is staged and planned does not mean that people don't die. Okay, no one's ever said that. Okay, that in the truther community, in the real truther community, I'm talking about people that share this information, make assessments online on social media platforms, and try to get it right or as accurate as possible, because the mainstream media does not get it right. And oh my God, watched Civil War last night, and waste of money. And I actually didn't even finish the movie. I couldn't even finish it. I thought it was going to be something very interesting. And it's all about making journalists, mainstream media, look like heroes, like warriors, like soldiers, special forces, all that stuff. It's so ridiculous to me. And I mean, no offense, I'm not slamming people that are reporters or journalists. You're very important, but you need to stop lying, and you need to stop aiding and abetting war criminals, and the military, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. And I know for a fact that you stage and plan scenes, okay, and lie a lot, and even paint the scene, write the scripts, and then you push that to people with your propaganda. And so don't come at me when my friends and family have risked their lives as first responder types, and some even dying because of your lies. And so I just, that movie, couldn't even watch it. A lot of people that I know that are in the military, they also did not enjoy that movie. And like halfway through, we're like, is this going to be all about fucking like this fake ass stuff? Or is there going to be actual, like some kind of like a Civil War scene going on? Anyway, so yeah, 2 thumbs down. And anyway, leftist propaganda, in my humble opinion. Oh, where was I going to go with that? Oh yeah, more on Thomas Matthew Crooks. I've said this before, but I want to reiterate points, because I was sharing this on X and on Instagram and on Facebook and on Signal and Telegram. I like to consolidate things as best as possible on Rumble, because it's my only platform where I'm like the least censored. So he had no social media platform or presence, to ascertain that he'd be some kind of a person of interest. There was no manifesto. There was no explanations. There was nothing leading up to that event that would make people think that he would do anything that extreme. There was inconsistencies with his graduation, and him being removed or deleted from his graduation ceremony shortly thereafter. So not after the shooting, but after the graduation ceremony a couple of years ago. Very interesting. And so, what exactly do we know about him? His phone, still they're lying and saying that they can't get access to it. Like, that's like that. I assure you, the government can get access to your phone, even locked, if they wanted to, because they do all the time, right? Anyway, and so quit the bullshit. There was the explosive devices that were found in his vehicle, allegedly, and a detonation device on the rooftop. And these are all advanced level tactics and training and strategies employed, and nothing on his search engines or any way of building that without having had some help, I would say, or not do it at all. And anyway, there's just a lot of inconsistencies, like I've said, and it seems to be stuff that's like way more advanced than his level of experience or skill sets, like I've said. And so there's more that needs to be questioned about that. I've already talked about law enforcement knowing that he was a person of interest up to an hour or a couple of hours before the actual shots being fired, depending on who you talk to. And then the threat level escalated even 30 minutes before the event happened, like I said. And anyway, I know I'm being redundant because this is all stuff I've mentioned before. Local law enforcement, terrible job. Anyways, it was just a terrible job all around. And I think I'll leave it at that. But yeah, just because something's staged and planned does not mean that people don't die. Like, look at January 6th, look at 9/11, look at World War I, look at World War II, look at USS Liberty, look at, like the alleged, look at COVID. Look at what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. There were so many lies too, and mainstream media absolutely involved, right? I'll say it again, like the Snake Island, there's no soldiers that died there. The Ghost of Kiev, that wasn't a thing. These rape allegations were not true. So many things that got us involved in the war and elicited emotional response in people, even though I was predicting the war, that this was possibly going to be something that kicked off, even in December of 2021, people were not listening, and instead they wanted this to be some kind of a proxy war. That's why there are people that flew to Ukraine when they were trying to make this a diplomatic, peaceful resolution, and hired all these crisis actors. So I've even shared it where there was like styrofoam used to look like rubble, and you had like these women like carrying like stacks of like rubble, like as if it was like one hand, right? Like as if it weighed less than a pound, and blatantly obvious. And then showing the repeat crisis actors, how they go to even different countries, and they're employed in different countries, and they elicit emotional response in people. They lie, So is there anything else? Anyone else want to comment or critique or ask me questions about international events right now that I'm not tracking? Anyway, let's see. No, I won't get into it. So I did want to share this video on the pineal gland. I'm hoping that it does get shared. And there's no issues with the my internet reception. It seems to be pretty good this morning, but we'll see. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to get it up first. Let's start. And this is from Free Your Mind videos. I've watched a lot of these already. These clips put together, this video is really well done.
The pineal gland is even today one of the most mysterious parts of the human anatomy. But our ancestors knew about the pineal gland. The ancient Greeks believed it to be our connection to the realm of thought. Buddhists know it as the symbol of spiritual awakening. In Hinduism, the pineal connects with the third eye chakra, the seat of intuition and clairvoyance. The pineal gland is called that because it resembles the shape of a pine cone. It is located near the center of the brain and is frequently referred to as the third eye. But why is it so? The reason why this part of our body is so enigmatic is that nobody has truly discovered its full potential. According to scientists and experts, the pineal gland is even more powerful and complex than the brain. According to them, this gland can only be functional when the brain remains unconscious. Some scientists say that the pineal gland is the key that gives us access to other dimensions, and that our dreams are in fact those dimensions. A kind of portal between different realities, and when activated produces a sense of knowledge. Maybe that's why we have the capacity to dream with places, people and situations that we've never experienced before. The pineal gland is so strong and powerful that by means of advanced methods and practices, one could even manipulate others' people's minds. It's a rich metaphysical history. For instance, for Descartes, the pineal gland was the seat of the soul. If the pineal gland reaches its potential when the brain is not activated, maybe that may explain why people experience strange things when they are clinically dead. Maybe when we die we unleash the maximum potential of the pineal gland and we can have access to other realities. Scientists discovered that the soul enters the fetus 49 days after the formation of the pineal gland. Dr. Rick Strassman has found fascinating similarities between the development of the human fetus and the descriptions of the Book of Death. It could be possible to exist a relationship between the soul and the pineal gland.
One of the main things it does is calcify, keep people as dumbed down as possible. And you see someone like the Pope, and he's got a staff with the pine cone on it. Not only is that interesting, but he's wearing a mitre hat.
There is a strange connection between the pine cone symbol, the pineal gland, and the Vatican. This symbol holds deep esoteric significance. Matthew LaCroix exposes everything about this topic. If we listen to him, I have to warn you, the following minutes may shock you.
The pine cone symbol is probably the most popular of all. In fact, it's actually scary when you look into it, how common it is with the elites and places beyond, I guess, the perception of people. Like, for instance, going to a place like the Vatican Archives or going to the Vatican itself and finding these giant pine cone statues outside, and the staff that the Pope wears has a pine cone built right into it. What does this mean? In terms of the pine cone, we really do know what the pine cone means. That discussion is pretty much over. The pine cone represents knowledge, the passing of knowledge. Adding a layer onto the passing of knowledge, you find that the human brain contains a very interesting functionality within it called the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has been worshipped since before the times of the dynastic Egyptians as the true gateway to, once you have knowledge, how do you comprehend knowledge? How do you unlock your ability to not have filters? How do you unlock your ability to see the bigger picture, to truly understand what these things really mean? And the only way to do that would be to unlock your pineal gland inside us. Now, for those who don't know, it's incredibly interesting. If you want to go down the road, you can find out that if you were to dump fluoride into public drinking water and you were to consume that even on a minor level, fluoride is a neurotoxin. And
Fluoride is a neurotoxin. I've not drank tap water for years, unless it was like obviously like necessary. Like I'm not gonna die of dehydration because I'm not drinking tap water. Let's be clear. So important. And even when you clean your teeth, they actually don't even let you know, but you have the choice, right? Like they don't let you know, but when they do the teeth cleaning, they do a fluoride treatment and a polish too as well. But you can opt out, right? And you're gonna sound a little weird because this was a few years ago when I stopped doing the fluoride. Well, when I was asking about the fluoride and the teeth cleanings, and I said I don't want to do that, right? And like that was eye rolling and stuff like that. It is what it is. But also with the X-rays, because I'm like because if you've already done X-rays of my teeth and like, you don't need updated ones, right? It's not necessary if I don't have cavities, if there's like if there's no issues with my teeth. And so that this is another thing, in my humble opinion, it's a money grab. And I do believe that there's like radiation damage or damage that is done on a cellular level, which is why they make you wear those friggin' lead plates or those lead protective coverings and ask if you're pregnant and all this stuff when you do this, right? So it's hitting your friggin' brain. And I don't like it. And so I try to explain this to dentists and dental assistants, and there's resistance. But it is what it is. I'm like, I'm your client. I'm not a patient. This is not a medical facility, in my humble opinion, especially for cleaning. And it's not to dismiss the occupation, by the way. Like, I know amazing dentists. I know amazing dental assistants. They're great people. Their staff is great. I'm not minimizing that stuff, but when you're pushing things, and I'll say the same thing with nurses and doctors pushing vaccines, like certain inoculations, it's ridiculous now. We went from 1983 having, I think it was like 6 to the 1990s, and getting into the 20s, and then the early 2000s, like 30 vaccines, and then now it's like at 72 or something like that. By the time a child is like 5 years old, I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, and there's like now more cases of. Anyways, I have to stop talking about this stuff because I'm on friggin' YouTube, so I'm gonna shut that down. But fluoride, yeah. So they're even admitting now, even in water, like it's at toxic levels, and there are people that are looking more into this, paying more attention into other harmful ingredients as well. But fluoride definitely being something that is a neurotoxin, and it's even in toothpastes. And so even for years, like I've done the like there's charcoal, by the way, that you can use to brush your teeth. Apples are great. There's toothpaste out there that is fluoride free, and then you can even do like a mix of like like baking soda and like peppermint and Anyway, I'm not going to tell you how to do your hygiene, but just look into fluoride if you have not already looked at it.
One of the main things it does is calcify the pineal gland.
Yeah.
Not only was it used during World War II with the Nazis playing around with the Jewish camps to try to keep people as dumbed down as possible in a state where they wouldn't revolt, but not only that, to keep them in a sedated state, it causes the pineal gland to completely
And just to be clear, I don't think that anyone, I mean, I don't think the majority of people are doing this for sinister reasons and they're probably not even aware to the extent of the impact of fluorine and fluoride. Two different things ish. And so like even with dentists, like cleaning your teeth with fluoride, right? Or fluorine. They're not doing it to hurt anyone. They actually, there's a lot of studies out there that they're getting pushed. That it prevents tooth decay and cavities and things like that. They're not looking at the other scientific studies that people like myself look at as part of my cognitive science degree, and the impact of neurotoxins and toxins and various chemicals and substances on the brain, right? Not the teeth. You got to look at the brain too. Very important.
down.
And the
When
guy.
you see someone like the Pope and he's got the staff with the pine cone on it, not only is that interesting, but he's wearing a mitre hat. That hat he wears is the same hat that the Nomo and Awanas wore in that symbolic way to show their influences to those civilizations. So think about how bizarre that is. We're told that all this stuff is fantasy and a myth, these influences of beings and creating civilizations and all this stuff. None of it's real, and yet the highest of our religious establishments has a pine cone on their staff and the hat worn by one of the ancient influencers of those cultures. Clearly they know all of this, right? And they're keeping most of it in places like the Vatican archives.
In the next few minutes, I will show you how to fully decalcify your pineal gland. What's more, in the next few seconds, I will show you a video with Santo Bonacci, which will help you understand the importance of your pineal gland. You'll be amazed by this analogy. Let's watch this video, and then I will explain in detail the whole process of awakening and what exactly you need to do. I'll tell you how you were programmed in your first 7 years of life, how to erase.
I've talked to Santos Bonacci, and there's a bit of hate on him. I think it's a lot of it has to do with ego and insecurity, because he is a literal genius. And I highly encourage and recommend people watch his stuff if you have not. There's a couple of things that we don't agree on, especially regarding eating meat. But I could be wrong too, right? Like, this is what I mean in this cosmos, whatever, like perception is reality. And he clearly has looked at a lot of content in his life. He is such a freaking genius. And yeah, but even like with Hermes and the Hermetica and even the Kybalion, which like quotes Hermes, Trismegistus and all this stuff. They also, so the quote right from Hermes, right, is milk for babes and meat for strong men. And so they quote Hermes a lot, and they quote like the greats of the past, and they say they aspire to be like that, yet they're missing some bigger points, in my humble opinion. But again, I could be wrong on that. And Santos Bonacci has absolutely put out such incredible content that has literally, like, anyways, it's changed the consciousness of the world, in my humble opinion. And he really needs to get a lot more viral than he has. Like, I can't believe this guy doesn't have millions of followers. His account does get deleted a lot as well. And sometimes he goes on these rants or these tirades and stuff like that, because he's a very passionate, intense person, right? And so I've said this before as well, like, what geniuses in the past weren't a little bit eccentric, right? Even Tesla apparently was eccentric and hard to deal with, and so many others, right? And so, yeah, it's, I guess, a little bit of balance needed when you're that smart.
Bad programs from your subconscious mind, and how to reprogram your subconscious to get exactly what you want without struggle, which is probably the opposite to what you're used to. Now, pay attention to this video.
The pineal gland is the third eye. When you read the story of Pinocchio, Pinocchio has two words: pine, P-I-N, pineal gland, and occhio is ocular. Occhio in Italian is eye. That's why you go to an oculist. So Pinocchio means the pineal gland.
So smart.
So Pinocchio is a puppet. He's not a real person. in order to become a real person, to ascend, you have to activate your pineal gland. You have to stop telling lies. Because everyone sees your nose grow every
And it's
time
made
you
of
tell a
wood.
lie. You have to stop being
Tree.
deceived by your friends. You have to stop going to the circuses and the shows, as all the philosophers have ever said. Getting drunk, intoxicated with drugs, and to be sober. So the pineal gland is the third eye, and it's our highest consciousness. So if you want to be real, just read the story of Pinocchio and activate your Pinocchio.
This tiny, pine cone-shaped organ has intrigued both scientists and spiritual seekers. Located deep within the brain, it secretes melatonin and regulates sleep patterns. But to mystics and philosophers, the pineal gland is a third eye, a spiritual organ providing perception beyond ordinary sight. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians symbolized it through the eye of Horus, a mystical emblem of enlightenment and insight. Now, consider Pinocchio, the wooden puppet manipulated by strings. These strings can be seen as the limitations of human consciousness, tied to physical senses and societal norms. In the story, Pinocchio yearns for freedom and transformation, much like the human soul aims for higher states of consciousness. The character of the blue fairy in Pinocchio's tale can be interpreted as the divine intervention or spiritual guide that helps us activate our pineal gland. She sets Pinocchio on a path to becoming real, which can be equated with awakening one's inner sight or third eye. Just as Pinocchio needs to demonstrate moral integrity to become a real boy, spiritual practices like meditation, ethical living, and mindfulness are often recommended for activating the pineal gland. She sets Pinocchio on a path to becoming real, which can be equated with awakening one's inner sight or third eye. Just as Pinocchio needs to demonstrate moral integrity to become a real boy, spiritual practices like meditation, ethical living, and mindfulness are often recommended for activating the pineal gland. Pinocchio's notorious growing nose when he lies can also be symbolically linked to the concept of illusion that clouds our real vision. When we are not truthful to ourselves or live in ignorance, our inner sight, or third eye, remains dormant, much like Pinocchio remaining wooden and lifeless. The act of lying can be likened to the calcification of the pineal gland, a condition that many believe hampers its proper function. As Pinocchio learns to navigate moral complexities, he inches closer to becoming a real boy. Similarly, as we rid ourselves of the illusions that bind us, we get closer to activating our pineal gland and opening our third eye. Once this transformation is complete, both Pinocchio and the individual attain a state of freedom and higher understanding. This image shows us how a calcified pineal gland looks. The calcification is a process where calcium phosphate crystals accumulate in the gland, potentially affecting its function. Several factors contribute to this phenomenon, and it is often linked to modern lifestyle choices and environmental factors. One of the most discussed contributors is fluoride, a compound found in many public water supplies and dental products. Fluoride has a high affinity for the pineal gland and can accumulate there over time. Studies have shown that this accumulation may lead to the formation of calcium phosphate crystals, contributing to calcification. Diet is another significant factor. Consumption of processed foods that are high in preservatives, additives, and refined sugar can increase the level of toxins. These toxins may contribute to calcification by causing inflammation and oxidative stress, creating an environment where calcium deposits are more likely to form. Additionally, exposure to heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and cadmium can contribute to pineal gland calcification. These metals are often found in air pollution, fish, and even some dental fillings. Once they enter the body, they can be stored in various tissues, including the pineal gland, where they may interact with calcium and other minerals to form deposits. Age also plays a role in calcification. As people grow older, the rate of calcification tends to increase, although the reason for this correlation is not entirely clear. Hormonal changes and longer exposure to contributing factors could be potential explanations. Other lifestyle choices, such as excessive alcohol consumption and tobacco use, may also facilitate calcification. Both of these substances can cause inflammation and oxidative stress, which can lead to an environment conducive to calcium deposits. Some medications, particularly antacids and certain types of antibiotics that are high in calcium, aluminium, and other minerals, may also contribute to calcification when taken in excess or for extended periods. Fluoride's role in the pineal gland's calcification has been a subject of concern and study. In the United States, fluoride is added to public water supplies as a measure to promote dental health. This fluoridated water is often provided in schools, exposing children to fluoride from a young age. While the intention behind water fluoridation is to reduce tooth decay, its effects on the other parts of the body, including the pineal gland, are not fully understood and are subject of ongoing research. Fluoride has an affinity for calcified tissues, and the pineal gland, being a calcifying tissue, readily absorbs and stores fluoride. Over time, the accumulation of fluoride can facilitate the formation of calcium phosphate crystals within the gland, contributing to calcification. This is particularly concerning for children whose pineal glands are still in the developmental stage. Early onset of calcification could theoretically impact the gland's future functionality, although more research is needed to fully understand these implications. In animal studies, high levels of fluoride exposure have been linked to altered melatonin production and other hormonal changes, which are primarily regulated by the pineal gland. If similar effects occur in humans, this could have a cascade of impact, from disrupted sleep patterns to affecting various biological processes regulated by melatonin. The potential risks have led some experts and advocacy groups to question the widespread use of fluoridated water, particularly in schools where children are still developing. While dental organizations generally support water fluoridation for its benefits in reducing tooth decay, the practice remains controversial due to the concerns about its systemic effect, including potential pineal gland calcification. It's worth noting that not all research confirms a direct link between fluoride and pineal gland calcification, and the topic is the subject of ongoing debate in the scientific community. However, the concern over the additive effects of lifelong exposure beginning in childhood continues to be a point of discussion. One of the most prominent symptoms is disrupted sleep patterns. The pineal gland is responsible for producing melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep. Calcification could potentially reduce the gland's ability to produce this hormone, leading to insomnia, frequent waking during the night, or irregular sleep cycles. Another symptom is a decline in cognitive functions like memory, focus, and attention. Though research on this topic is limited, the pineal gland has been thought to play a role in cognitive health. Calcification could potentially interfere with the gland's ability to contribute to neurotransmitter balance, affecting your mental clarity. Mood swings and depressive symptoms could also signal issues with the pineal gland. Reduced melatonin production may not only affect sleep, but also contribute.
It could, that first clip for the pineal gland, that could be from Zeitgeist, actually. That does, it could be from, I'm thinking maybe Follow the Cabal series as well. Like, I'm not sure. I've seen it in a few places though, but it might be from Zeitgeist as well. I have shared that film with my commentary on it, if anyone's interested.
To mood imbalances as melatonin interacts with serotonin, another neurotransmitter responsible for regulating mood. Fatigue and low energy levels are also commonly reported symptoms because the pineal gland plays a role in regulating circadian rhythms. Calcification could disrupt these natural cycles, leading to a constant feeling of tiredness or lack of energy. Reduced intuition or difficulty in making decisions may also be indicative. In esoteric traditions, the pineal gland, or third eye, is considered the center of intuition and foresight. While this is less studied in the scientific community, many people who undergo processes to decalcify the pineal gland report increased intuitive abilities. Physical symptoms like headaches and migraines could also be linked. The pineal gland is located near severe nerve pathways, and its calcification could potentially cause or exacerbate headaches. Here are some commonly recommended ways to decalcify the pineal gland. One of the simplest steps you can take is to drink filtered water that removes fluoride and other harmful chemicals. This can reduce the accumulation of substances that contribute to calcification. Consuming organic foods rich in antioxidants can help counteract the effects of calcification. Foods rich in essential nutrients like vitamin K2, magnesium, and iodine can be particularly helpful. Some people use natural supplements like chlorella, spirulina, and wheatgrass to aid in decalcification. These supplements are believed to detoxify the body and may help in breaking down calcium phosphate. Processed foods often contain additives and preservatives that contribute to calcification. Cutting them out of your diet can be beneficial. Using fluoride-free toothpaste and mouthwash can also reduce your exposure. If you live in an area where the water supply is fluoridated, consider using a water filtration system that removes fluoride. Both substances can contribute to pineal gland calcification, so reducing or eliminating them can help in decalcification. Though less scientifically supported, many believe that spiritual practices like meditation and yoga can help in activating the pineal gland and might aid in its decalcification. Some people recommend spending time in natural sunlight to stimulate the pineal gland.
Yep.
The gland is sensitive to light, and natural sunlight can help regulate its functions, including melatonin production. Herbs like mugwort, gotu kola, and ginkgo biloba are often cited as natural remedies that can help decalcify the pineal gland. Always consult a healthcare provider before beginning any herbal treatment. Certain frequencies and vibrations, such as those produced by singing bowls or chanting, are believed to stimulate the pineal gland. This is more rooted in spiritual traditions than scientific research, but is practiced by many. Physical activity increases blood flow throughout the body, including the brain, which could potentially aid in the process of decalcification. The experience of decalcifying the pineal gland and opening the third eye is subjective and can vary from person to person. However, many people who engage in practices aimed at achieving this report a range of mental, emotional, and spiritual changes. Here are some of the commonly reported feelings and experiences. Since the pineal gland produces melatonin, decalcifying it may lead to better sleep patterns and improved quality of sleep. You might find it easier to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up feeling refreshed. The third eye is often linked to intuition and heightened awareness. After decalcification, you might find yourself more in tune with your surroundings and better at picking up on subtle cues. Many people report that they experience a surge in creativity, finding it easier to think outside the box and come up with new ideas. Improved mental clarity and focus are often cited benefits. Tasks may seem easier, and you might find that you're more efficient and effective in your work and daily activities. Some people experience better mood and emotional stability, possibly due to the gland's role in regulating serotonin and melatonin, which impact mood. Increased insight and clarity can lead to a deepening of spiritual practices and insights. Some people report experiencing more profound meditations, a stronger connection to a higher power, or increased synchronicities in their lives. It's common to hear reports of enhanced sensory experiences. Colors may seem more vivid, sounds more clear, and touch more sensitive. Many individuals note a significant reduction in stress and anxiety levels, possibly due to improved hormone regulation and increased feelings of connectedness and awareness. While less commonly discussed, some people also report feeling physically healthier, attributing this to the gland's role in regulating various bodily functions. With heightened intuition and emotional balance, you may find that your perspective on various aspects of life starts to shift. You may experience greater empathy, understanding, and a sense.
Just like a comment. I don't know if it's on X or YouTube. No, there's a lot of bullshit, and like even in the truther community, and yeah, and it leads people away. or to go just friggin' mad. And so I definitely acknowledge that. And so I don't take offense to that. I wasn't taking it personally, and I agree. And that's why I like to get more, not there has to be repeatable, observable, measurable data, and go off of that before going off of allegories and things like that. Right. So even within the truther community, I don't know what you call it, but I don't know if I should say this or not, but even Jaron, him making an assessment on the Trump assassination attempt, he got shit on by a lot of people just because he's trying to share an accurate depiction of what happened, like the series of events that led up to it, and then after, just because again, mainstream media gets it wrong, and we saw even on we saw it even within minutes and hours leading up to. Anyway, not leading up to it, but minutes and hours after it happened, right? There was so much misinformation. There's more information still coming out. And so there are people that do look at our content to make assessments, people that work in government still and stuff like that. So we're doing this more as a service, I guess, to people that really need to take a look at this information. And that's why people like Tim Kennedy were doing the same thing. He doesn't get paid to make his assessments, but he definitely has the experience and the skill sets to make assessments and observations. Dan Bongino, even though he's mainstream media, in my opinion, he gets paid to do his work. He also did an incredible breakdown of the series of events, and so it's not to say that we support Trump for president at all. And so people are making these correlations, or if we talk shit about Trump, they're saying oh, you like Biden? If you talk shit about Biden, oh, does that mean like Trump? There's such a gray area, and it's not black and white. And so it's just a matter of trying to get accurate information out there. I'm going on a tangent, but even with the pineal gland activation, there's a lot of stuff that I would say absolutely does not assist with that, and it might do more damage to your health than good. And but I do absolutely believe in eliminating fluoride from your diet, doing the sun gazing and grounding on the earth to have that where the fields are not being interrupted, and less of an electrical charge and things like that, and then the diet and lifestyle, and I think that this is something that does facilitate. There's something to that, but there's a lot of things that don't necessarily make sense to me. So even with the brain, with clearing the mind, there's even saunas that can assist with that, and maybe even better than yoga or meditation if you're not doing it right, because it is clearing the brain of fog as well. And I've noticed that even after being in a sauna for a little bit, I do get deeper meditations, and I feel like I'm more activated. And so anyway, I'm going on all these tangents, but I'm about the truth, and it would be great to get more facts out on mainstream media overall, collectively.
Of interconnectedness with all life forms. Many describe the experience as a form of awakening, where they feel more alive and more in tune with the universe. Often using instruments like singing bowls or vocal chanting has long been thought to stimulate the pineal gland and help open the third eye. This idea is deeply embedded in spiritual and esoteric traditions, although scientific research on the topic is limited. The underlying concept is that the pineal gland has its natural frequency, and exposing it to external sounds that resonate at or near this frequency can activate it. When harmonic vibrations are introduced through sound, they bring a sense of balance and harmony to the body. This balancing effect is thought to extend to the pineal gland, potentially helping in its decalcification and activation. In a way, the brain itself tunes into these vibrations. Different frequencies can induce different brainwave states: alpha for relaxation, beta for alertness, and theta for deep meditation. It's particularly the theta state that has been linked with encouraging the pineal gland to become more active, leading to enhanced states of intuition and insight. These vibrations also lead to increased blood flow to the brain, which could aid in removing calcification deposits from the pineal gland. The stress-reducing nature of sound therapy can further impact the gland positively by reducing hormones that might inhibit its function in a deeply relaxed.
And even with the pineal gland activation, I would say, or having less impedance, that this is where diet is incredibly important as well.
state, individuals can connect spiritually with their inner selves and the universe at large. This form of
Oh yeah, sorry, because our brain needs cholesterol to function, and so good cholesterol. So even in that, if people knew how the brain functions optimally with diet and lifestyle, it would that would also impact their stimulating their friggin' brain. And then also with breathing through your nose just to get more oxygen to the brain directly. This is also very important. So like in the mornings, I do try to do like I've said this before, like deep breathing exercises. And then I also do it where I'm closing a nostril, trying to open up the other one. If it's blocked, you have to clear the nostrils. It's not pretty. Don't do it around people if you don't want to gross people out. But and then try to open up your nostrils, right? And if they're blocked, like breathing out, forcing it out, and then in, trying to do it gently at first, or fighting it. That really helps with the oxygen flow to the brain. And so these are things that you can do as well, right? And so limiting the levels of intoxication in the brain also makes it where you're thinking more rationally, and you're accessing your executive functioning part of the brain. And so this has nothing to do with yoga or meditation or any of that stuff. It has everything to do with what you're doing to perform more optimally.
Connection is thought to stimulate the third eye, making it more receptive to higher forms of knowledge and wisdom. Additionally, heightens perception and understanding of oneself and the environment are commonly reported after sound therapy. People describe an increase in intuitive thoughts, deeper insights, and even foresight, which are often attributed to the activation of the third eye. In some cases, the vibrations are said to induce altered states of consciousness, facilitating experiences like lucid dreaming or deep meditative states. These altered states have been traditionally associated with an activated third eye. Ancient spiritual traditions, including Hinduism and Buddhism, have used chanting and sounds as tools for spiritual awakening for millennia. In these practices, sound is considered a direct path to attune the body's vibration with that of the universe, thereby facilitating the opening of the third eye. The concept of brainwave states is intriguing, especially when considering their role in accessing and programming the subconscious mind. Delta waves, ranging from 0.5 to 4 Hz, are the slowest brainwave frequencies, are generally linked to deep, dreamless sleep. It's thought that during this state, the subconscious mind is highly active in processing the day's experiences and forming memories. Some believe this is a crucial time for subconscious programming, where deeply held beliefs and patterns are either reinforced or modified. Theta waves range from 4 to 8 Hz, which are common during deep meditation.
So during deep, I don't mean to interrupt him, because there's absolutely healing frequencies and vibrations and waves. We are electrical magnetic beings, and to access our energy systems more effectively, things like even like with the mantras and things like that, there's also a physiological and physical benefit to that as well, right? And so like even like doing the like the vibration within your body, like it assists with exercising your throat, your heart, your brain, believe it or not. And so we're sort of vibrating on a higher level, right? Just like hummingbirds and bees, right? Like they vibrate, and that's how they can fly and stop and move in different directions and things like that. I do believe it has to do with the humming or the vibration. And so it has nothing to do with any spiritual stuff in this aspect, but there are benefits to doing that. And so it just assists with the raising your vibration.
And the early stages of
Or
sleep
making it
are
not
of
stagnate.
particular interest in the context of the subconscious mind. This is often described as the twilight state, just between being awake and asleep. In this state, you are thought to have easier access to the subconscious mind and are more susceptible to new programs. Many practitioners...
And then even in sleep, the brain, like the cerebral spinal fluid, it gets it does a filtration at night. And so this is also something that can be seen and measured, observed. And so this is also something that people need to look at, right? So getting into this deep dream state also assists with the filtration, because there's a lot of stuff that gets in the brain, right? In the span of a day, even from what we breathe in the air, these freaking contrails and chemtrails, definitely impacting us.
Of hypnotherapy aim
It's
to
very
induce a
important.
theta state in their clients to suggest positive changes, whether that's quitting smoking or overcoming a fear. Theta is
Straight up.
seen as the gateway to learning and memory. Thus, new beliefs can be more easily ingrained during this state. Stay with me because later I will share a powerful technique to reprogram your subconscious mind. Alpha waves are associated with a relaxed but alert state of mind and are often considered the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. During activity like light meditation or even daydreaming, alpha waves dominate. This state allows for the crosstalk between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, making it a good time for affirmation, positive self-talk. In fact, many visualization exercises are designed to put you in an alpha state where you're relaxed enough to let your subconscious mind take over. Beta waves dominate our waking state and are associated with logical thinking and critical reasoning. While this state is necessary for daily functioning, it's not the optimal state for programming the subconscious mind. That's because the critical filter of the conscious mind, which often rejects ideas that are not in line with current beliefs, is active during this state.
How can an infant, a young kid, learn these rules? They can't go to school, they can't read the book and all that. And I say, you don't have to. Nature provided theta hypnosis so that they can observe the parents, the family, and the community. Just observe their behavior and download those as programs. Age 7, then that's when they start to become more conscious and engaging themselves. So the first 7 years is programming. And then after that, we play, actually, unfortunately, 5% of our life from our creative conscious mind, 95% from the program. 400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. And what they knew is exactly what we just said. First 7 years is programming. But after age 7, 95% of your life is coming from that program. So if you can program the child for the first 7 years, then the rest of the life of that child is actually an expression of that program.
The notion of often using instruments like singing bowls or vocal chanting has long been thought to stimulate the pineal gland and help open the third eye. This idea is deeply embedded in spiritual and esoteric traditions, although scientific research on the topic is limited. The underlying concept is that the pineal gland has its natural frequency, and exposing it to external sounds that resonate at or near this frequency can activate it. When harmonic vibrations are introduced through sound, they bring a sense of balance and harmony to the body. This balancing effect is thought to extend to the pineal gland, potentially helping in its decalcification and activation. In a way, the brain itself tunes into these vibrations. Different frequencies can use different brainwave states: alpha for relaxation, beta for alertness, and theta for deep meditation. It's particularly the theta state that has been linked with encouraging the pineal gland to become more active, leading to enhanced states of intuition and insight. These vibrations also lead to increased blood flow to the brain, which could aid in removing calcification deposits from the pineal gland. The stress-reducing nature of sound therapy can further impact the gland positively by reducing hormones that might inhibit its function. In a deeply relaxed state, individuals can connect spiritually with their inner selves and the universe at large. This form of connection is thought to stimulate the third eye, making it more receptive to higher forms of knowledge and wisdom. Additionally, heightens perception and understanding of oneself and the environment are commonly reported after sound therapy. People describe an increase in intuitive thoughts, deeper insights, and even foresight, which are often attributed to the activation of the third eye. In some cases, the vibrations are said to induce altered states of consciousness, facilitating experiences like lucid dreaming or deep meditative states. These altered states have been traditionally associated with an activated third eye. Ancient spiritual traditions, including Hinduism and Buddhism, had used chanting and sounds as tools for spiritual awakening for millennia. In these practices,
okay, I gotta share this comment. Actually, my tongue is on the roof of my mouth for most of these videos. I don't even know if people notice that. And when I meditate, I do the same thing. It's actually, I think even Rudolf Steiner, like if you've read any of his works, and there's even a genius from the past too, a couple hundred years ago, that was saying that he would get his knowledge, his creative writing, it would flow better when his tongue was seated at the roof of his mouth. So it is hard to explain. It's because of the like the sensations that it elicits in the body, and the activation process that's done apparently with the nerves that are impacted and stuff like that and stimulated, and to get you that access, right? There's 12 cranial nerves, and there's anyway, and there's multiple ones that are stimulated, especially your sensory ones when you do that process, right? And there's great from the past, geniuses from the past that say there's something to that as well. And I'll even mention too with like the energy systems and the chakras, and because they're talking about the third eye, accessing that, and so that's why I believe that when you're operating on a lower level of consciousness, or vibrating on a lower level, it's like the root chakra, like that's the lowest chakra. It doesn't mean that it's a negative one. It's just at the lowest vibration, the heel. And the least amount of petals. So for me, like I think of the lotus petals as a toroidal field, the electrical magnetic fields that surround us, all living species, and this cosmos as well, which keeps us contained within this environment. And you'll see that like the flower of life, or the lotus petals, when you get to the crown chakra, it looks like, if you look down on toroidal fields, like even Ken Wheeler from Theoria Apophasis and others have recorded this, so you can actually see visual representations of electrical magnetic fields and how they do that same pattern. And so when you access your higher levels of emotions, right? So like instead of like fear and anger and aggression, which we learn, which is the first emotions we learn, when you manage to regulate those and access your higher levels of emotions, like the love and the empathy and the courage and the compassion and those emotions, these are also things that make you vibrate on a higher level, or have a stronger field around you. And it just is what it is. Again, these are just my theories, and with some science to back it up. And so that's why there's a desire for people to access their higher levels of consciousness, or their higher level chakras, because it's for the individual, perception is reality, and it'll give you a better life. But it's also for the collective as well. There's obviously inherent benefits, right? If we are vibrating on a higher level, that means that we're impacting people in a more positive way around us as well, and more mindful not only of humans, but of nature, of other species, of our environment, and making it a better place. And so the intent of this earth plane is to vibrate on the highest frequency possible. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Sound is considered a direct path to attune the body's vibration with that of the universe, thereby facilitating the opening of the third eye. The concept of brainwave states is intriguing, especially when considering their role in accessing and programming the subconscious mind. Delta waves, ranging from 0.5 to 4 Hz, are the slowest brainwave frequencies, are generally linked to deep, dreamless sleep. It's thought that during this state, the subconscious mind is highly active in processing the day's experiences and forming memories. Some believe this is a crucial time for subconscious programming, where deeply held beliefs and patterns are either reinforced or modified. Theta waves range from 4 to 8 Hz, which are common during deep meditation and the early stages of sleep, are of particular interest in the context of the subconscious mind. It is often described as the twilight state, just between being awake and asleep. In this state, you are thought to have easier access to the subconscious mind and are more susceptible to new programs. Many practitioners of hypnotherapy aim to induce a theta state in their clients to suggest positive changes, whether that's quitting smoking or overcoming a fear. Theta is seen as the gateway to learning and memory. Thus, new beliefs can be more easily ingrained during this state. Stay with me, because later I will share a powerful technique to reprogram your subconscious mind. Alpha waves are associated with a relaxed but alert state of mind and are often considered the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. During activities like light meditation or even daydreaming, alpha waves dominate. This state allows for the crosstalk between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, making it a good time for affirmations and positive self-talk. In fact, many visualization exercises are designed to put you in an alpha state where you're...
I'm going to disagree with him on that. Only, I mean, he's saying a lot of smart things. So maybe I have to do more research, more current research. But even with monks and people that are able to access like their like deep levels of meditation, they seem to be accessing it like functioning within their theta brainwave states and not alpha or and certainly not beta. But and so there's something to the theta brainwave state and having deeper meditation for a longer period of time. So like I don't know if the alpha wave brainwaves would be the one that I would...
Relaxed enough to let your subconscious mind take over. Beta waves dominate our waking state and are associated with logical thinking and critical reasoning. While this state is necessary for daily functioning, it's not the optimal state for programming the subconscious mind. That's because the critical filter of the conscious mind, which often rejects ideas that are not in line with current beliefs, is active during this state.
How can an infant, a young kid, learn these rules? They can't go to school, they can't read the book and all that. And I say, you don't have to. Nature provided theta hypnosis. So that...
Okay, so like they're just being redundant, I think, but this was a great video. And I want to share the Santos Menachi one because they did get a little into it, but not as much as I thought. And so I did have this up. This is from Captain Sinbad from 5 years ago. So again, a lot of this stuff is so old, and I have shared it before, like it's multiple times before. So I really apologize for people that have watched this before, and not only from my channel but from other channels. It's just for any new people on here to
sexual essence, it ascends again and goes back up to heaven. It's also the story of Santa Claus. Why he comes down the chimney is because this juice or this whatever substance actually passes what's called the claustrum, which is where they got Santa Claus.
Yo, what's up, Kings? Hope you guys are doing well. Today's video covers the topic of the sacred secretion, or the Christ oil, or the anointing oil. This is a concept with Christian roots, but it conveys the process of enlightenment between the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and
really predates Christianity. Anyway, let's see how far he goes into it.
Belief systems. It is essential that we develop our own consciousness in order to take advantage of the full array of energy that surrounds us. This is done by developing our higher faculties through a stimulated mind and righteous living. There are countless ways of empowering this, such as following the practice of the law of attraction, consuming a natural diet, or regular meditation. A developmental approach that is increasing in popularity is the preservation of the sacred secretion. The sacred secretion is the title given to the rich fluid that ascends and descends along the central nervous system. It is an internal ointment that bathes our pineal gland, the part of the brain that connects our physical being to the non-physical plane. Using the knowledge of biology and alchemy, we can increase the power of this secretion as its energy engulfs the brain, thus our communications with the universal energy field. By providing the oil with an environment it can preserve in, it thrives. The sacred secretion is a means of internal alchemy. It is the process taken by the biological body in response to astronomical interferences to release natural chemicals that are charged and changed in order to provide the individual person with a heightened reaction, an ability to sense other planes of energetic fields that were otherwise outside our perception. The preservation of the sacred secretion is a spiritual practice that has been recorded throughout history. It probably won't come as a surprise to you that evidence shows that historic humans were far more conscious 1,000 years ago before the introduction of TVs and computers. Back then, our main form of communication was through ESP, the interpretation of vibrations, clairvoyance, and telepathy, much like most other living things today. It is interesting to note that every great tradition, every great spiritual tradition has people who have claimed they have spoken with supernatural forces, and have had dialogues with them. Of course, this is true with Moses in the burning bush, through the Hindu sages and speaking with the divine, through Muhammad and his revelations as a prophet, and even in the Hawaiian conception, the Huna way, where people associate with their mana, spiritual conceptions that come out of the environment there. Not only that, but in stories such as the Odyssey, in which Homer speaks to his spiritual masculine presence, his thumos, the presence of individuals speaking to supernatural forces is something that I am more and more open to, because it is something that is a pattern within so many traditions. And it is interesting for me to note that in this Christian conception as well, that parable carries forth. Inside the brain is a thin, irregular sheet-like neuronal structure of gray matter that is attached to the underside of the neocortex in the center of the brain, which is called the claustrum. Scientists describe the claustrum's function as enigmatic, meaning difficult to interpret and mysterious. Yet what's remarkable about the claustrum is that it has the highest number of neuronal connections in the brain. It has a very remarkable structure, and yet scientists aren't exactly sure what it does. Well, maybe esoteric forces would have more to say on it. Research shows that the claustrum receives input from almost all regions of the cortex and projects back to all regions. The same investigation on the claustrum results also speculate that the claustrum has a relationship with consciousness. The claustrum's role within the sacred secretion is also believed by many to be the true meaning of Santa Claus, who brings gifts from the North Pole down the chimney before returning up. This is something that Jim Carrey had actually said in an interview about how the claustrum and the source of the sacred secretion is where the metaphor for Santa Claus came from. It is within the claustrum that the secretion process begins. In science, this sacred oil is called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. The composition of CSF is dependent on the activity of surrounding brain tissue. As the wiring of the brain is based on our own past beliefs, this includes our thoughts and mood, which is why it's so important to keep your thoughts as high vibration as possible, because it actually affects your internal environment.
It really does. It really does. And so what we read, what we listen to, who we interact with, like this really impacts like how we vibrate and how we present ourselves to the world. And I wanted to just reinforce something too, that there's a lot of different, I would say, religious communities and occult groups and people who consider themselves esoteric that are committing blood sacrifices, and they have since the dawn of time, believing that this would be a way of accessing like the higher levels of consciousness or getting rewards or things like that, and even like in the Hermetica, the Kabbalion, like any of the greats that have interpreted these esoteric teachings and these rituals, like this alchemical stuff as well, they say that this is all allegorical. And it's based on our own transmuting or changing our own consciousness, and not going to the exterior of our own lives to access them, right? So like doing things like blood sacrifices, it's not going to help you access your higher levels of consciousness. I'm talking about like the Satanists and all these other freaking groups of people that think that doing the animal sacrifices or human sacrifices is a good thing. It's absolutely not. And even in these esoteric teachings, when you're taught at the higher levels, they say that that's allegorical, and you're missing the mark, and you're actually causing a lot more harm to the world than good by doing that, obviously. And so, yeah.
A great deal. Scientists state that the three main functions of the cerebrospinal fluid is to protect the brain and the spinal cord from trauma, supply nutrients to the nervous system, and remove waste products from the cerebral metabolism or the brain blood flow. The claustrum passes the secretion on.
Our blood is very important in how and so even in the past, they would do things like bloodletting. They still do that nowadays as well in order to treat illnesses. It's very healthy for you, right? Like especially if you're someone where your diet and lifestyle choices led to like having thicker blood or like more toxic blood or whatever. You do bloodletting, removing blood from your body. Again, a safe amount. It can actually assist with like regenerating like healthy blood again. And so. Even barber shops with like the red and white spirals, like that, they used to be these used to be places where people would go in order to do the bloodlettings. And so this is where I think there's been like a misinterpretation of rituals, of accessing, optimal health, optimal brain functioning and stuff like that. So yeah, these people that murder animals as part of sacrificial ceremonies and rituals, or humans, you've got it wrong.
Which adds melatonin
In my humble
to
opinion.
this energetic liquid. This secretion then travels down the spine's 33 vertebrae, and it is interesting to note that Jesus Christ was crucified at the age of 33.
Yep.
Through the Pingala nerve, connected to the pineal, and the Ida nerve, connected to the pituitary. These nerves, the Ida and the Pingala, also relate to the Kundalini energy. They are the two facets that regulate the Kundalini energy, which is why Hindus who do have a pranayama practice, they do breath exercises like this. That's actually activating your Ida and Pingala. And this also relates to the science of the sacred secretion. These nerves are also known as Kundalini and extend all the way down the spine. They meet at the triangular sacrum at the end of the 33 vertebrae. The sacrum is a 5-bone vertebrate fused with the nerve fibers known as the sacral plexus. This point of connection is often referred to as a mother and father energy, coming together at the sacrum and giving a life-giving energy, a seed which is given nutrients to thrive in its environment. At this point, about 1/3 of cerebrospinal fluid leaves this flow via spinal vessels and another third via nasal lymphatics, leaving only about 1/3 to be reabsorbed through the venous system. Eventually, this fluid circulates back up the spinal column by the sacral pump, a regular rhythmic motion between the occiput and the sacrum. This is where it begins its return journey, like Christ rising again, increasing in vibration back up the spine through the ventricles of the brain and towards the medulla and brainstem until it reaches the vagus nerve. The oil's vibration is increased here before it enters the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that links the nervous system to the endocrine system, which is responsible for the chemical messengers via the pituitary gland. When the oil enters the hypothalamus, it sits there for 2.5 days and increases its vibration. It's this point of the process that we call the preservation stage. After 2.5 days, once the oil leaves the hypothalamus, triggered by the moon energy leaving your biorhythmic sun energy, the oil ascends to the pons. The pons are beside the medulla oblongata. The gray matter of the upper brain vibrates stronger and faster when enough of the oil returns and anoints the pituitary and pineal glands, amplifying the alchemical powers of the electromagnetism in the brain. I love how so many traditions that talk about a life force energy that is generated within the human body, an anointing energy, it's always referred to as an alchemical process. There is something stated within every culture about a gross form energy that is generated within the human body, converting into a spiritual or almost thought power energy. And this process of turning one form of energy into another is alchemical. It's really turning lead into gold. And so I love how this phrase is used in many different lineages and teachings. When this substance, preserved and saved by an alkaline body, returns to the glands, the switch is flipped and the DMT thermostat increases, at which point your senses are overtaken. As it is reabsorbed again into the veins, new blood is produced, and dormant brain cells are reactivated or awakened by the higher potency of the chemically charged CSF. Additionally, this flow of CSF opens the thalamic gate, allowing the energy to move through the thalamus and access the reticular activating system. It is this system that is responsible for our levels of wakefulness and experiencing greater levels of awareness. At this point, you realign the natural chemistry of the body, and all our millions of brain cells are activated. This arouses the neocortex, which vibrates into higher brainwave patterns. We are now operating at a higher level. The sacred secretion happens once a month, 12 times a year, when the moon rests in the constellation sign that influenced the biorhythmic energy of your body at the time of birth. The sacred secretion gives full use of the mind by fully activating the pineal if it has been decalcified, which in turn activates the true spiritual self and reconnects the physical person with the universal energy. Once the sacred secretion has returned, we remove ourselves from the brain cycle of observing and analyzing our thoughts and rather just come into a sense of true awareness, true centeredness, true being, and true access to the superconscious mind, an awareness that goes beyond ourselves. We become more aware to our reality and sensitive to the energies within our environment. Conscious guardian angels may be able to interact with us easier, at least that's what the book says, and we may even find ourselves becoming a little bit clairvoyant or psychic. Our vibrant energy will also influence electromagnetic frequencies with our physical world. Due to this, we are more susceptible to synchronicities, often coming to us in the form of seeing repeated number patterns over and over again. For instance, seeing 1111, 333, 555, or the most rare of all, 777. You will see synchronicities and understand them to be a sign that you were on the right path. Because of this increased intuition, trust the messages that you receive and your initial thoughts and instinct. In short, the sacred secretion is the name given to the scientific description of the physical release of DMT and the spiritual description of the story of Jesus. By preserving the seed within its nutritionally dense environment, we allow it the opportunity to grow and grow within us, and in turn give us life and illumination. There are a few things that you can do to make sure that the sacred secretion, the anointed oil, remains with the body and is cultivated and is used for illumination so that you can have more expression in your artistry, in business, and in life. The author gives a few examples of this. The first, of course, is to make daily meditation a habit, something that you're very, very consistent with. Meditation is the singular most important discipline that you can cultivate within yourself. The second way to make sure that the sacred secretion is protected, cultivated within the human body, and allowed to help you access more clairvoyant hunches is to decalcify your pineal gland. There are numerous ways to do this. I will make a specific video on how to decalcify the pineal gland, but essentially it's about removing toxins from your life. Simple things such as putting a filter on your water so that fluoride doesn't come into your diet as much, switching to a fluoride-free toothpaste, eating more iodine through supplementation or by eating seaweed, getting out in the sun more, making sure that your diet is as alkaline as possible by eating fruits, vegetables, beans, and nuts, and especially by avoiding dairy and avoiding alcohol. And lastly, through the practice of brahmacharya, or cultivating life force energy within yourself, making sure that you're not depleting yourself from life energy by excess sexual engagement or sexual indiscretion. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed.
That was good. Yeah. I thought he was going to talk more about Santos Bonacci's explanation, but it is what it is. So when the moon enters your the sign that your sun was in at your birth, for example, for me it would be Capricorn. It's going to be a full moon in Capricorn on the 21st, I believe, or at least we're being told. And so this would be the period where there's this seed that's planted in my in my sacral energy system. Excuse me, location. And then if I resist temptations, if I resist the things like alcohol and cigarettes and sex and things like that, the likelihood of this oil with the seed, making its journey through the 33 vertebrae, up the spine, and then making that connection in the claustrum, and then connecting the pituitary gland, like pineal gland together, and then vibrating on an even higher level. And so I think that this is what he explained anyways, and so I just wanted to reinforce that it's during that period of the month when the moon is entering the image or the sign that your sun was in at the location of your birth. This is the time where it's reset, or where the seed is planted. And I don't mean to overshare, but for women, when we get our periods, it's supposed to be regulated in sync with the moon. And so when it's not, it's there could be something wrong with your diet or your lifestyle that's impacting your ovulation, because it should be in sync with the moon. And so even with that, we get periods where there's blood that sheds from our bodies. So and this is something that's natural and just randomly happens, right? Once a month, or at least it should. And so it doesn't make me think any less of there being a possible seed that grows or whatever during a certain period of the phases of the sun or the moon, in order to again have that experience. And so I hope I'm explaining myself right. It's a little bit early. I was up at 5, and so anyway, a little bit of a struggle. And so on that note, I will leave it at that. It was all about the pineal gland today, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.